Oh, what is up, you silly ass, glorious Bromo Sapiens? I literally just clocked out, done teaching for the week. One of the positives of teaching from home, and there are actually surprising to me, especially when I'm one of the only people doing this. There are quite a few negatives, like just utter loneliness and dealing with Mark all day. But which is also a good thing at times. But one of the positives is that the second my last class is done, I can pour this. The second is clock out time. Check the final emails. It's Thursday. That's the end of the week here in Doha. Ready to go for the weekend. We got our week 2 of the fantasy football season here. We got a little recap today, last week's action, this coming week's predictions, and a little trade talk. So let's get into this. Let's recap last week, okay? So me and Sean went head to head. We were both projected for more points. I projected us for more points. Oh, that's nice. But it was a lower scoring affair than kind of I or Sleeper anticipated. Had a tough week with Saquon. That Pittsburgh defense, Pittsburgh defense, man, they are gonna. Don't start your running backs against Pittsburgh. I think JD has to almost this week with Melvin Gordon, but my goodness, they were in the backfield. And I know the New York Giants offensive line is nothing to write home about, but Saquon had a tough night, but still got the win. I still got the win, thanks largely to the player of the game, Josh Jacobs, 3 touchdowns, 42 points, huge game. The dumb sit was actually, I think it was mine, which I tried not to do that last year. The dumb sit should be on the losing team. I just realized that now. But I had the New Orleans defense on the sideline. And I played Kansas City's defense, and New Orleans would have scored me 14 points more than Kansas City. So that's the dumb sit of this game for me right now. So I get the win up to 1-0. Sean's at 0-1, but a good start. His team is clearly on the up and up. And we'll see what happens this week with them. But yes, so I'm off to a 1-0 start. He's off to an 0-1 start. Next game, Burt versus JD. This was a crazy game. It ended up being 171 to 173. I picked Burt for the win, so he starts off 0-1. JD goes to 1-0. Great start for JD. I have Burt pegged in the top group of our league this year, and I am a little surprised that I'm not surprised that Burt lost because Miles Sanders isn't playing, but I definitely have Burt pegged in the top group. JD was down in the bottom group there, but I like his team. I like what I'm seeing out of it. The player of the game in this one is Adam Thielen, 31 points. Big. That was a huge game for, especially for passing touchdowns on both sides. Rodgers and Kirk Cousins, kind of going back and forth there. That Minnesota defense is going to need Kirk Cousins to be throwing it a lot, it looks like. So Thielen gets 31 points. The dumb sit is Russell Gage. For Burt, he had a plus 18 over Mecole Hardman. I mean, no one's going to blame him for not knowing to do that, but that certainly would have gotten the win. So this one ends up 171-173. JD with the win over Burt. So that was one I got wrong. So far I'm 1-1. Okay. Next game, Phil and Mark. This was an easy one to call. It played out pretty easily too. Phil got 149. Mark got 165. I guess the best thing we can say right now for Phil's team this week is that Lucas and Adam both scored less points than him, so he did not have the lowest scoring week. The player of the game in this one is definitely Russell Wilson, who was allowed to cook. 40.5 points, 40.53 points. This is another situation where that Atlanta defense is going to be giving up points to the quarterback. Russell Wilson's amazing, and this is not like trying to lower that effort, but it'll be interesting to see how they do this week against New England. But I think Atlanta's going to be needing to sling that ball around too. So just something not to bring Russ and DK and Tyler Lockett down, but more to say play your Falcon opponents. Okay, play those guys because they're looking like they're going to have good weeks most of the time. The dumb sit was Peyton Barber, plus 13 over Deshaun Jackson in the flex for Phil. That 13 would have still had him losing the game, but it would have been closer. Okay, so Mark goes to 1-0, Phil at 0-1, and that's another one I got right, so I'm 2-1 on my calls. Next up, Lucas versus Adam. I picked Lucas. Adam got the win. That's big time. That's unfamiliar territory for Adam in the Schwing Dynasty, getting that victory. Half his total from last year, I believe, something like that. So the game was close, 137 to 138. Close, and that's sad. Those are sad scores. Player of the game, I gave it to David Johnson, not because he was the highest scorer, just because it was good to see it. Oh man, this is hitting the stomach right now. That was good to see the David Johnson looking alive, looking good in that Houston offense, and he may have been the only one. Deshaun Watson's gonna ball. He's gonna find a way to score points most of the time, but man, are they missing DeAndre Hopkins. Those receiving until Brandon Cooks is fully healthy, and if that happens, and even if that happens, those receiving options are not good, and David Johnson's going to need to play like that. The dumb sit of the week for this game, was Malcolm Brown. Malcolm Brown was on the bench for Lucas, and that would have been a 23-point difference over Mike Evans. Brown put up 30, and Evans got 7, or Brown put up 31, Evans got 8. So it was a 23-point difference. Clearly would have gotten Lucas the win by a large margin. Large Marge. Tell them Large Marge sent you. I don't know if you guys know that reference. Let me know in the comments. There are no comments. You're not going to do comments, I know, because this is not a real YouTube thing, but it is on my YouTube channel. Let me know if you know the Large Marge reference. Adam, I'm not letting you take part in that because you definitely know the Large Marge. Tell them Large Marge sent you that reference there. So it would have been a large marge of victory. Okay, and on now to the game of the week last week. Oh man, not quite the game of the week. I was expecting this to be a lot closer. If I had known, it would have been Burt versus JD. Became the true game of the week. Lucas and Adam in the stinker game of the week, but it's it was still close at least. Daryl versus Steve. I picked Steve. I picked Lucas in the game before, so that dropped me to 2-2. I picked Steve. Steve did end up winning. The game of the week never materialized. It ended up being Daryl 171 to Steve 202. Steve's the only person who broke 200 this week. And player of the game, big time ups to Devontae Adams, who was all over the field, back to his old ways, looking like the player that I drafted in the first round last year and never quite became the player I needed him to be. And the dumb sit for this game, John Brown was a plus 10 over Marvin Jones. It would have just brought Daryl closer, but certainly nothing impactful. So that's the review there. The game of the week goes to Steve. I go to 3-2 with my predictions on these games. The player of the week is my very own Josh Jacobs, running wild. And then the dumb shit sit of the week goes to Malcolm Brown. Goes to Lucas with Malcolm Brown. The plus 23 was the biggest difference over a starting player available in the week last week. And you can now see those on, and you might have been able to do this last year, I can't remember. But Sleeper now has that, the bench player with the biggest upside that was left out. Oh yeah. Okay. It's a little Maker's Mark and some Diet Coke. By the way, that's what I'm sipping on here. Not the classiest drink, but it'll do. All right, week 2. On to the week 2 prediction show here now. We've got the first game almost put down as the game of the week, but I couldn't put Steve in 2 straight games of the week. I didn't feel like doing that was right. It's me versus Steve. I am projected for 187. Steve for 184. If you looked at last week, I did not hit my projection. Steve crushed his. I am happy that I am projected for more right now. I feel like Saquon's going to have a much better week. I feel like Steve's score will be lower than his score last week. I do not think that will repeat. But I am being forced here to pick Steve for the win because I'm not going to go against the guy who scored 200 last week when I didn't get close to that. So I am projecting Steve for my official projections, but I am also wishing him nothing but the worst of luck this weekend. Not the worst, and certainly not in personal life, maybe just temperate luck in personal life, and really pitiful luck in fantasy this week. Not season-ending injuries, not to that degree, so I shouldn't say the worst luck, but pitiful luck, really bad luck, lots of really bad games. And what it comes down to is, for me, the key is Deshaun Watson versus Baltimore's defense. There's two sides to this. Deshaun Watson has no one great to throw to right now, and Baltimore is a very good defense. I think that they're going to have to rely on him throwing. So I am worried about the fact that they're going to have to score, and Deshaun Watson's going to be running a lot. That's where I see Deshaun Watson making the big impact here with running yardage, because he will drop back, see nobody open yet again, and take off and be Deshaun Watson. I'm not predicting a Lamar Jackson type of huge game from him, but I think he could have a very big game running the football once he realizes nobody's open and no one's going to help him. So what that does, though, also is Steve's starting Baltimore's defense. So it'll be interesting to see that back and forth. Baltimore gets a few sacks. They get some points. Watson, because they will get some sacks on him because there's going to be no one open. Laramie Tunsil's kind of, I don't know, that whole offensive line is not that good in pass protection, at least. So I see them getting some defensive stops, some sacks, maybe some INTs, but Watson also rushing a lot. It's kind of the perfect storm of not me being happy with that. So I would like to see Baltimore's defense just shut him out and get their points, but I don't know what's going to happen, guys. I think that Steve is going to win this game on that stupid that stupid situation there. I think that's where it's going to come down. All right, so I am projecting myself for the loss here, but I definitely feel like I have a chance. I definitely feel like it's going to be a good game. Hopefully I score more than last week, and hopefully Steve scores a lot less than last week. But there you go, Steve. Okay, next up, Bert versus Adam. The 0-1 team versus the 1-0 team, and it is Bert that is 0-1, even though the projections have Bert at 183, Adam at 164. Weird things, like Adam has Christian Kirk in his starting lineup currently, and Kirk scored 1.3 points last week. I'm not sure what the move to the starting lineup is about there, if it will last. If Kenny G plays, then obviously this will be closer. But they're already projecting Christian Kirk for like 15 points in this game, and it's still 183 to 164 in the projection. So Kenny G coming in place of Kirk will not close the projection down, but it certainly is it's more likely to hit that number, and then you hope for some other players to break out. I don't see it here. Miles Sanders might be back. If he is, I think Bert rolls to this kind of big margin of victory, large margin of victory. 183, 164. Tell them Large Marge sent you. Oh, that might just have to stick around. Anytime there's a big margin of victory, I think it's going to have to be Tell them Large Marge sent you. All right. Phil versus Sean is the next game. This is projected at... Oh, so I put Bert in that last one because he didn't catch it or I didn't say it. Phil versus Sean. Phil is projected for 173. I would be shocked if Phil hits 173. I will be shocked if Phil hits 173. Sean's projected for 188. I would also be a little surprised if Sean hits 188. I just don't love the receivers. I won't be shocked. I would be a little surprised if he hits 188. He's not going to need to, though. I see this more as in the 180 to 162 range on a good week for Phil. Okay, so that's... there's just a lot of players that I don't trust there producing that much. But I think Kamara could have a much bigger week with Michael Thomas out. I think it could be a monster Kamara week. So maybe he gets to the 170 point. But I think Sean's going to win comfortably at 180 points. The key is the rookie running backs. If they keep rolling, so does Sean, and I've got him for the win. All right, next game, Lucas v. Daryl. 0-1 versus 0-1. Lucas projected at 173. Daryl at 183. Lucas was the lowest scoring team last week, and I just feel like there's too many questions right now. Good players, but questions with them. Nyheim Hines, is he going to have the same kind of is he going to score 2 touchdowns? That's the real question. I don't think so. I mean, I'm never going to say, obviously I don't need to fucking defend that. Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think he scores 2 touchdowns. Henry Ruggs, is he fully healthy? Is he ready to go? Mike Evans, is he fully healthy? Is he going to be able to play? Is he going to be able to? Is Tom Brady going to be able to use him? Tyler Boyd, is Joe Burrow gonna have a passing game this week? Or, I think the kid's got a ton of talent, but that offensive line is doing him no favors right now. And it'll be easier against Cleveland, but they're not exactly a bad defensive front. So, we'll see. It's not the Chargers' defensive front, but it's still a pretty good one. And then Daryl rolls, I think, to this victory. I think Daryl's going to go to 1-on-1. Right now it's 183 to 173. I like this game more at about 179 to 165, 166, something like that. I wasn't very great with my score projections last week, but honestly, now I have a frame of reference. Then I had no frame of reference. So Daryl rolls, he gets the win. And that brings us to the game of the week, JD v. Mark. Right now the projection's at 172 to 174. I think we all know the score here. I think we all know what this comes down to, and that's the Seahawks. If they do great, Mark will probably win this game. But they're not playing Atlanta. Now they're playing that New England secondary. And, yeah, New England's taken some hits on defense this year, but they still look pretty dang good. And especially that secondary is pretty dang good. On top of that, Mark is starting 2 Eagles tight ends right now. He started his Ertz in the tight end spot and Dallas Goedert in the flex. So Mark has he has two Eagles and 4 Seahawks in the starting line, maybe more. I can't remember even who his defense is, but he's got a lot of those 2 teams, too much of those 2 teams. For a team that's playing New England, I think this is a week that Seattle tries to run the ball a little bit more, which would be better for Chris Carson, but it will hurt the passing game, which was prolific last week. The question for me is Mark Ingram better? Is Mark Ingram good enough to win this game for JD? That's one key. And also, it is the Seahawks-New England Patriots matchup. And I am going against so I feel like Mark's team is better when you just look at the players, but I think he has hamstrung himself just a little bit with how many Seahawks he has, because it's very hard for all of them to have a great week at once. It happened last week. Mark got the victory, but underwhelming performances at certain positions, because it's hard for them to put it all together at once and have that kind of a game, especially against the New England defense. So I am picking JD for the upset here. I think Mark Ingram does do better. I think Todd Gurley continues. Melvin Gordon's going to get shut down, but he does have some catching work that he can throw in there. I do think that JD is going to get this win in the game of the week. So I'm picking JD. So far this week, this week, I'm picking Steve over me, Bird over Adam, Sean over Phil, and the sort of the duh pick, it has to be, Daryl over Lucas, and JD with a surprise upset of Mark in the game of the week. So that's it, guys. Last thing, a little trade coverage. I was a little surprised by the degree of excitement for Jonnu Smith. People calling this a possibly one-sided trade. I don't know. I got Malcolm Brown for a tight end, basically. It is a tight end, and he's younger. His role is more set on this team. But one guy scored 13 points last week, and the other guy scored 30. And I don't expect that to continue. But I do expect Malcolm Brown to put up a startable week most weeks of the season. And that's all I'm looking for. I'm not looking for next season. I've got Darren Waller and Chris Herndon, who I love and who's younger than Jonnu Smith. Chris Herndon is younger than Jonnu Smith. I think when it came down to it, I looked at Lucas's roster this week, and I said, okay, you've got Nyheim Hines, you've got Malcolm Brown, and you've got Jerick McKinnon. And it looks like you need certain positions that I have a few of. And we talked about some quarterback action. He said he'd rather have a tight end. I said, Smith or Herndon, you take them. I love both those guys. They are my backups, though. So he went with, he said Jonnu. I said, great, let's do Jonnu for Brown. And he was worried about Brown outscoring Jonnu too much this year. So I said, okay. Or he said, what about a future third-round pick? And so I threw a third-round pick on top of it. I think right now it gives me a very strong depth that I didn't have the last few, that I didn't have going in. I've been seeking a running back, someone that I could start if I need to. I am not starting Jonnu Smith. If everything goes according to plan, not starting Jonnu Smith this year. But Lucas is, why do I keep saying Daryl? I didn't trade with Daryl. I'm talking about Lucas here. Lucas is starting Jonnu this week. So we both are. I'm playing Malcolm Brown in the flex. He's playing Jonnu in his tight end spot. Neither one of us had that guy before, and and maybe he would have started Malcolm Brown this week, but that's it. So I think that when we both finished the trade, it was kind of like a good. I think we're both happy with this. I do like Jonnu Smith. I never would have found myself a Malcolm Brown fan before. I know that the past history, yada, 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 whatever. He plays for the Rams. He's a good offense, a really good offense. He's going to play. And I don't see, and this isn't, I mean, we're talking about Sean McVay here. We're not talking about, the itchy butthole up in, the itchy ass crack, maybe. I don't know what the right term for Matt Gase is or Adam Gase is. But this is not an Adam Gase situation where he's going to play someone other than the person who's doing really well. Sean McVay is too smart. He's too good of a coach. And if Malcolm Brown's proven it, if he keeps playing, then he's going to play. Or if he keeps playing well, then he's going to play. So I like it. I think we both like the trade. Any trade could end up being one-sided in the future. But I think thus far I've been involved in some trades that I like. And for the most part, I think we're doing okay in this league for trades. So we'll see. We'll see what Jonnu does this year. We'll see if he outscores Darren Waller, because that'll be a big benchmark for me. Does Jonnu Smith outscore Darren Waller over the course of the season? And is it enough that I'm like, ooh, I really should have kept him? I don't think it will be, but we shall see. All right, fellas, that's it for the week. I was looking at this. Man, I think I'm going to take that logo I made, and I'm gonna try to get this put on some glasses. And I think I would like to treat you guys to those glasses and try to send them around the world to you guys, because that'd be cool to have some Schwing Dynasty cups, something like that. Maybe mugs, probably better for shipping than glass. Maybe like a good tumbler, growler, mug type of thing. So anyways, cheers, fellas. Here's to the weekend. Here's to fantasy football. And love you guys. Talk to you later.